Greetings and welcome back to Medieval Engineers. So, since the completion of the clock tower, I have been doing a lot of experimenting, including with trebuchets that work somewhat half and half, but I'm still experimenting with some release mechanisms for projectiles. I've also been experimenting a lot with rotors. As you can see, there's a lot of rubble lying around here. Well, and as you can guess, it wasn't very successful, not yet anyway. And in the meantime, I decided to actually throw something together so that I actually have something to show instead of nothing to show, I suppose. So here it is, the horse carousel. I suppose most of you actually recognize this thing from the fairgrounds from back when you were a child. Now, I myself don't exactly have any special memories for this thing. But I did find that it was very interesting to try and recreate, and I managed to do it, somewhat anyway. And it looks a little bit bare bones at the moment because I did want to keep it fairly open so that I could look inside and tinker with it whenever needed. And it was actually quite difficult to get everything right, and actually not everything is right. As you can see, sometimes the horses do jump up more than they should. So yeah, what I found interesting with this is that I actually had to make something, and it had pretty much 3 basic requirements. So it had to turn around, obviously. The horses had to go up and down, preferably not synchronous, so that it doesn't look all too silly. And the third thing is that the horses do need to stay on a tangent line next to the carousel, basically. So yeah, and I found some solutions, and this is one of them. This is, I guess, the easiest one technology-wise. And I will be going over how you can do this yourself because, well, I can't share it with you, unfortunately, on the workshop, simply because technology doesn't allow it. I'm going to show you. So if I press Ctrl-C, this is what I get. And I'm going to place it down for you. I guess that'll work. And there we go. So as you can see, it's kind of missing the horses, which I guess is a large part of the horse carousel. So yes, it's kind of pointless to try and share this, seeing as the essence is gone. So I'll come and show you some things about how this works. But first, seeing as we are on a fairground, let's perform a little magic trick. So let's start off with this. No, not this, this. So, I'm pretty sure you will recognize this. It's a simple catch block, as you have seen dozens of them. Let me just put it down. There it is. Now, let me say some magic words, as in Ctrl-Shift-C, and there we go. You have an empty catch block. Interesting, isn't it? Now, what can you do with this thing? Let's first of all put it down, because, oh well, actually you can rotate it, so it's okay. So here you have an empty catch block, and this is actually a pretty interesting thing, because you can actually put stuff in it. Let me just put one on this block of timber here. It is somewhat difficult sometimes to attach it to a block of timber, but here you go. You got a empty catch block. And what can you do with it? Well, now that we actually have round timber, it's actually very nice to throw a piece of timber in there. So let's make it about this long perhaps, and set it in dynamic mode, and try and turn it around. And there you go. It's inside. And you can make some stuff with this, although it is not exactly very reliable, simply because the physics of the game doesn't really allow for a lot of forces to be exerted on this piece of timber. So I had some experiments. I tried to use this as some sort of firing mechanism for a ballista, but unfortunately, when you pull sideways on this, for example, the piece of timber will just fly out of it if too much force is applied to it. However, since you can't use it sideways, you can still use it upwards. and that's exactly what I am using this for right here. And it is also exactly why I can't copy it, seeing as the game does not recognize this as one object. It sees all these things as separate objects, so when I try to copy it, the horses do not copy with it, which is somewhat unfortunate. Okay, and I'm gonna be showing you the mechanism right here. This is the first setup that I made. Let's get rid of this piece of timber, where I did some testing, and as you can see, it's kind of the reverse of that one. So here I have the horse, well, it's without a horse, that is standing still, and it's the whole rotor that actually turns around. Well, actually the rotor turns around there as well, so that's not the difference. It's this thing here. It's what is needed to make the horses go up and down, and also what is needed to keep the horses pointing that way at the tangent of the carousel. So how does it work? It relies on the fact that if you attach ropes, they always stay the same length as when you attach them. So what I did here is, let's turn this off for a moment so that I can actually show. Wait, let's turn it on just a little bit so that it's pointed the right way. Maybe it's... oh, well, it's close enough. So let me just get rid of these ropes. And here you can actually see the construct. And it's actually kind of like a piston. You can make pistons out of this, but however, pistons don't really have all that much of a use at the moment in the game. But still, they might make some nice decoration. Anyway, so I made this pretty much the same way as I did that thing. However, the difference is, actually I might show it here again. Let's get rid of this piece of timber. And what you do is, and it seems to be lagging somewhat, sorry about that, not sure what it is, probably too much stuff running. Yes, my laboratory is getting a little bit big. So what you do is, well, actually what you should do is put a bit of timber down here to support this thing. Well, actually this one isn't very ideal. Let me just start from scratch to make sure that everything is just right. So let's stack up a bunch of timber here, like this, that'll do. And a bunch like this. Alright, now we gotta get our empty catch block again. So I basically should have just copied it right here, but it doesn't really matter all that much. Let's place it up here, that'll do. I'm just gonna move this up a little bit. And you place this one, oh wait, this one down. So this is the one with only one side, as you don't really want anything to drop through. Although I guess it would work with the regular one as well, seeing as the dynamic piece of the catch block is actually firmly attached to the catch block, so it wouldn't really be that much of an issue. And now what you do is, this actually works a little bit better when you go into spectator mode, because you can freely move around. And what you do is you drop this thing, well, not really drop it, you attach it to this piece. And there you go. You got that. And just for this you do it twice, so you attach another little catch block up there, an empty one, and you just keep on building this shaft until it's through everything. And then you add a little bit of rectangular timber at the top, so that you can attach these hooks to it. And yes, and next up, once you actually attach everything, you get rid of these little blocks at the bottom. If it will allow me. There we go. And now, yes, this one should also be detached, but normally this should be resting on the ground, or in this case it is actually attached to the rest of the carousel. And then you actually have this thing inside of this, and if you also close the top, that means you sort of have a piston. Now, how does this thing work? well, as I mentioned before, it relies on the fact that the ropes are the same length as when you attach, so... Oh, and I gotta get back to my real body for this one. So what we do is... we attach this one to this side, and the other one to the other side. Now what happens is that as this thing turns, the distance, for example, of this one will increase. So that'll actually pull on this thing, and the other one will actually just release, but this one won't really matter, at least not until it turns 180 degrees. So let's just turn it on and you can see it work. As you can see, this one now will start pulling and it will go up, and once they go back in this shape it'll go down, because both are about the same length as they used to be, and now the other one will start pulling. And this way you can actually get the horse to go up twice in one rotation, which is something that I really wanted to do, because otherwise it would have been a little bit too slow perhaps. And yeah, that is how I solved this. However, it's not totally working as it should. It is working almost perfectly for these ones on the sides, similar to that one, but these ones that are diagonal are a little bit weird. They sometimes jump up because it was difficult to kind of calibrate everything, and I think the issue was mostly with the bottom here, so I needed some sort of guiding rails to make sure that the sketch block stays a little bit in the same position, otherwise it would swing around and this horse would swing around, and that wouldn't be very pretty, because it still does it despite the fact that I attached all those blocks. So yeah, it doesn't look all that exquisite as my whole nicely calibrated clock tower, but still I think it was something worth to share, and perhaps some of this technology can be worth it to you. And in case someone might be interested in it, I might share this on the workshop, but well, it's actually not all that much, and I guess there may have been something else. Well, yeah, I guess this thing here, so it's a little bit bigger than that one, and oh yeah, this was something I needed to tell. So I needed to get everything to work not too synchronous. So one way how I did this was that first I attached all the normal ones, so the ones that are parallel to the thing, you know, these ones, normal ones. And you make sure that, well, you know what, I'm gonna turn it off so that I can show it a little easier. Okay, well, it's turned the other way now, but I'm gonna show it like this. So first you attach these ones, same manner as over there. So you attach one rope ending on this side and one on this side, so that both ropes are actually equal length when you attach them, and that way you will get the two gallops in one rotation. And you do this for 4 of them first, then you let the carousel rotate 1/2, or no, 1/4. Yes, you let it rotate 1/4, so that the ones that are up, no wait, 1/4 wouldn't work. No, you need to rotate 1/8 or a multiple of that, so that the other ones are actually right next to this thing, because this is stuck to the ground. It was required for it. And then you attach the next ones also, so that both ropes are equal length, and that way they are actually not synchronous, so 4 of them will gallop at about the same time always. So let's turn this thing back on. And yeah, it's not exactly something with a lot of function, it's just a decoration, I suppose, but I guess it's something that would fit in a medieval town, even though this isn't exactly a medieval invention. It's more something from about the Victorian age, but still, If you can make it in Medieval Engineers, I suppose that it fits in Medieval Engineers, so I made one, and hopefully at least some of you find it somewhat interesting perhaps. Either way, that'll be it for this episode. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.